Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's cryptocurrency trading webinar. My name is Jimmy, and I'll be taking you through a quick market update with the current state of Bitcoin and the rest of the alt cryptocurrencies. It's definitely been a trying time for a lot of people who have been holding, especially if you sort of got in late. So I'll be covering a lot of those things. I think there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So I'll be covering, where I feel we are in the current cycle. I'll be talking about a method that I'm using to sort of track this, so you can actually have a look into this yourself. And it's a way I believe, how the larger operators in the market sort of accumulate and distribute certain asset classes, whether it's cryptocurrencies, commodities, stocks, and things like that. So let's have a... Just before we start, so this presentation is educational in nature, and that no personal financial advice will be provided. If you wish to seek personal financial advice, please seek a financial planner or a certified financial advisor. Okay, so just a bit about myself. So my name is Jimmy Pan. I work here at easyMarkets as a head of sales for APAC. I've been in the CFD FX industry for over 10 years, working at various brokers. So over that time, I've met a lot of very successful traders. I've seen, traders basically start from knowing nothing about the markets into, very, very proficient traders and, still trading full time to this day. So it's very encouraging to see that, because it definitely does happen in the markets. There is definitely a high attrition rate. There's no doubt about that. But if you stick to it and you learn, the key fundamental rules, which is, risk management, controlling your emotions and all that sort of stuff. We can't suppress our emotions, but just being aware of it, and finding good setups and not just trading for the sake of trading, and planning your trades, all that sort of stuff, all the stuff that we know that we should do. But I've seen, the traders that do implement that, they go out and be very, very successful traders. So for myself, I've been trading for over 12 years across different asset classes such as FX, indices, commodities, and more recently cryptocurrencies. Very keen technical analyst across various disciplines, but I'm finding that the more I sort of progress over time, the less and less indicators I look at. So it's mainly just really focusing on some key setups and just trying to execute those the best I can each and every time. So I'm not trying to forecast what the market is doing. I think that's quite hard, but doing the best you can with the information that you have now to make the right decisions, and obviously having risk management at the back of your mind at all times. The key markets that are focused now are European and US indices and cryptocurrencies, and of course a couple of currency pairs as well. So just before I start, like with all presentations that I run here on cryptocurrencies and blockchain, I'm a firm believer that blockchain is pretty much one of the things that we'll see become a part of mainstream and day-to-day life. In pretty much the next few decades. The reason for that is we're seeing a move away from more centralized systems to more decentralized systems, and the blockchain allows us to facilitate that. So 2015, this is kind of when most financial organizations started looking into it and started really investing into it. 2016, 2017, we saw a lot of big projects come out through, whether it was Ethereum back in, 2015, 2016, some large ICOs that really came about in 2017 and saw some amazing gains. But obviously, we've seen a lot of that sort of pull back as well, especially with the SEC sort of still clarifying the rules around, ICOs and whatnot. And so that was the early adoption phase. And now 2018, we're currently going through a growth phase. So it doesn't look like it from the charting, the prices that we're seeing at the moment. I totally get that. But what we see is, as long as the prices don't go below their previous lows, and we start to see that accumulation happening, which is currently evident at the moment, and we start to see a bit more of a steady upward price movement, hopefully towards the end of May and basically running all through to the end of the year. Obviously, there's going to be corrections in between, but the general price movement to sort of break out of this current range that we're in at the moment, that's where we might see a good base to sort of launch off for the next few years. 2025, that's obviously the maturity phase, and I'll be going through some, pretty, um, you know, pretty out there price projections for Bitcoin a bit later on in the presentation. So we'll be able to see we're in this growth phase, and remember, we don't know what's going to happen in growth phases. Like, when I sort of talk to clients, and I've mentioned, but I see, Bitcoin getting up to that 40, 50,000 mark within the next year or so. A lot of people there's no chance it's probably going to go to zero before it goes up there. Fair call, but when I remember the same time when I was looking at the S&P 500 just after GFC, and President Obama was about to, launch the QE program, and that was when, everything seemed so dire. The Dow, the S&P, we were at, very, very low levels, and I remember, sort of thinking to myself, look, if we're going to start injecting and printing money, we could really see, some big moves here in the Dow. And I sort of, towards the sort of end of 2009, 2010, I sort of did my Fibonacci analysis to sort of see, what, where might we see this, and had a level that was very similar to the highs that we just saw the last few weeks. And you know what? I mentioned that to a few people. They're like, get out of here. There's no chance of that happening. But the thing is, you don't really know, when things really take off, like the dot-com bubble and all that sort of stuff, when things really move, you just got to go with the momentum. And obviously, be very cautious of, when things are looking quite frothy. And I think a lot of people have learned that now, when a lot of these coins, which is pretty much going up every single day, to sort of take some profits off the table, if not all of it, and look to buy back on a pullback. But just to sort of give you a bit of an idea, you can see these are all the different organizations that are investing into blockchain technology. You can see the ASX is there. Back in 2016, they told the market that we're sort of moving away from the chess settlement system, and we're going to be implementing a blockchain settlement system, which means potentially instant basically instant settlement with your counterparty. So if I sell a share, I'll be able to receive my funds pretty much almost instantaneously from the buyer, which is unheard of at the moment. You sell shares, it takes you 2 days to get the funds once it's been settled, and there's a lot of paperwork. Now, on the blockchain, that's going to eliminate a lot of the admin stuff. So you're going to see a lot of these, share registers and all that sort of stuff. They're probably going to go out of business, pretty soon. And I think Hong Kong was the other exchange that mentioned they're going to probably move down that path as well. Here's kind of a comparison of all the different types of coins that's currently being developed and that's out there. So you can see the currencies. You've got your Bitcoin, you've got NEM, you've got Neo, all that sort of stuff, Bitcoin Cash, etc. Payments, Stellar, Ripple, etc. You've got all the different types of cryptocurrencies there. So this is kind of a way of visualizing that it's not just one coin. There's lots of different coins doing lots of different things, because there's so many applications for this blockchain technology. Now, I'm not too sure if you've sort of been following the news, but the last few days, one of the things that we're been seeing is there's always been this talk about large institutional investors coming into the markets, and for whatever reason, they all happened all at the same time. We started seeing stories of George Soros getting in, then the Rockefellers, then the Rothschilds, etc., all coming at the same time. It makes for good reading. I take it with a pinch of salt. These guys aren't going to tell you that they're in the market once they're in. I reckon they've been in the markets for a long time, and we've sort of seen that huge ramp up. They probably got rid of a lot of their Bitcoin around the top, and they're looking to buy back in at these lower levels. So I'll give you a reason why I sort of think that a bit later on when we cover Wyckoff theory of accumulation distribution a little bit later. But this is kind of the news that, caused a bit of a bump up in the Bitcoin price at the moment. And just to sort of jump on, like, so the whole point of all these cryptocurrencies and where they derive their value from is from the blockchain. The blockchain is essentially the infrastructure that facilitates these online secure transactions or movements of data from point A to B in an encrypted way, using cryptography, that once it's been added to the blockchain, it's immutable, meaning you can't change it. So it's so, I guess, when I might be talking gibberish to you right now. You might go, "Oh, what's so good about that?" But there's so many applications for this type of technology where you can remove so many middlemen. So, for example, if you wanted to buy a house, you have to get solicitors, you have to get banks involved and all that sort of stuff. And it takes, it's a really, really, big process, right? You buy a house, you have to wait several weeks to get the keys before you can move in and all that sort of stuff. Now, if we sort of get to a point in time where we just utilize the blockchain, where we can say, okay, you know what, I've got the funds ready. You want to sell your house, we'll write a contract on the blockchain. Once that's confirmed, the funds will move from escrow from here to you. I'll get the keys from you, and that's it. It's registered. All the information's there. I own the house now. You have your money, and part ways. That's kind of where we're sort of moving towards in terms of smart contracts. So there's all sorts of applications for this. One of my favorites is a company or coin actually called Venchain, and they're looking at so many different ways in which you can use it. And one of them is partnering up with BMW. BMW, as you know, own lots of luxury car brands and stuff like that. They're going to be implementing the blockchain with them. So what that means is, this is what I think anyway, when you buy a BMW and you want to know, okay, is, what you're telling me is legit, like, have you only ever been, the only owner, and you've never been in any accidents, and you kept up all your servicing, all that sort of stuff, and obviously you got the logbooks and stuff, but, sometimes these things can get forged, right? But when it's on the blockchain, so imagine this, you buy the BMW for the first time. You're recorded on the blockchain as the first owner. You do a service that's logged on the blockchain. Every milestone, in terms of Ks and what sort of stuff, gets logged onto the blockchain. When you decide to sell it, you can tell the other party with a lot of confidence that, hey, I'm the only owner. I've kept up, with all my servicing, and it's never been any accidents, because surely, if there's any accidents, that'll be logged on there as well. So what that does is it eliminates a lot of the, trust issues that we have with used car salesmen when they say, yeah, this is the perfect car for you, but not knowing that potentially you might be buying a lemon. So, that's just, one way in which you can use it. I'm sure, if you really think about it, there's so many other ways, and they are coming out, so looking at the blockchain technology, the four basic features are: it's secure, everything's authenticated, shared data, and auditable. So auditable meaning that, on the Bitcoin's blockchain, for example, you can sort of track every single transaction, right? So when they say, yeah, only the underbelly type of bad actors, use Bitcoin for laundering money and all that sort of stuff. Bitcoin's probably the worst coin you can use to launder money, because there's talks about the NSA sort of developing a tool to sort of track every single movement to a person, with Bitcoin. So, because it's so transparent, you wouldn't use that. You would have to use a privacy coin that sort of hides your identity and all that sort of stuff to do all that sort of, things that the governments are trying to crack down on. So, so that's why, I feel Bitcoin, moving forward, it's going to be one of the coins that sticks around the longest. Every year we see a different top 10 coin, like at any given time, and it really scares a lot of people when they're investing a lot of money in one particular coin. Next thing you know, that coin's not relevant anymore. It's a new coin. So, it's always good to sort of make sure you do your research and really stick to the large coins, the ones that do have solid teams and projects and all that sort of stuff. Because, when these big, funds and hedge funds and whatnot, when they start investing into cryptocurrencies, majority of the portfolios are going to be with the more liquid pairs, which is, the larger coins. So this is just a quick illustration of how a blockchain transaction works. So essentially, person A wants to send money to person B. They initiate that. So that transaction is going to be represented as a block. Now, all these little computers around the side, you think of them as the Bitcoin miners. Their job is to keep the network up and verify any transaction. So once they verify the transaction, each one of these will have their own ledger, the blockchain ledger, and they update that. So that's what makes Bitcoin pretty much impossible to hack, because, okay, you might alter the records of one blockchain record here, but imagine trying to do it for every single node that's connected. It's impossible. So if this comes online, it tries to verify the next one, and then all of a sudden they notice that this has a corrupted record that gets discounted, that pretty much gets discarded, right? Then once they all verify it, everyone's got the same record, then they add that transaction there, and then the money gets moved from A to B. And this is all done without an intermediary. There's no middleman, there's no bank or anything like that. You can do this between two people, and with the trust of the actual blockchain network there. Now, in terms of the adoption rate of technology, this is very interesting, because you can see, at the start with any technology, you can see it starts off very quickly, or it can start off very, very, very slowly. So you can see with air travel, I guess back in the 1930s, when people were saying you can fly to different countries and whatnot, that probably scared a lot of people until we started to see it become a bit more mainstream and affordable. Then it really took off, right? Same thing, with a lot of the technology here. Now, Bitcoin, very slow start. You can only see it starting to move up here. So 2009, 2010, no one was really using Bitcoin to, move funds around. It was like very, very small percentage of people that were doing it. But even then, you brought up Bitcoin, people just was associated with, internet money and, hocus pocus, all that sort of stuff. But now, the perception's different. We can actually see there are, proper applications for it. And we can see this is where we are at the moment. So if we are going to get up to that 100% level, which a lot of people, sorry, when I say people, analysts, that have done studies in trends and whatnot, they're seeing that, probably getting there within the next 10 years or so. .com bubble versus the crypto bubble. So you can see in terms of, this is just measuring it in terms of market cap. So right now the market cap at that time was 340 billion. Now the crypto market cap is actually more 250 at the moment. So we've actually taken a bit of a dip. So we're still down around this level. So this is, if you're invested in cryptocurrencies and you see a move like that sometime in the next 5 years or whatever, like when we start to see some mind-boggling prices, chances are probably a good chance to take some profits. Again, this is not advice or anything like that, but I'm just trying to warn and just give you some foresight. What goes up generally comes down. We saw it happen, in December. No doubt we're going to see it many times over. That's just the nature of cryptocurrencies. Just a quick introduction to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, by far is the most popular cryptocurrency. It was developed in 2008, 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. This person went by that pseudonym. No one knows who it is, if it's a group of individuals, if it was an entity, government agency. No one knows. There's so many conspiracy theories out there. But it was a white paper written by Satoshi Nakamoto that really spawned, the imagination of, a true decentralized digital currency. The coin cap, so there will only ever be 21 million coins. And right now, we've mined about 16.96 million, and around about 6 million of these coins have been lost, gone for good. So that doesn't leave many coins around. Hence, why people think Bitcoin, when everyone starts buying it again, we're going to see some truly mind-boggling prices. The most so currently there's over 1,500 different cryptocurrencies, and the current market cap is 114 billion. So remember, Bitcoin currently is trading at around 6.6 thousand, 6.7 thousand US, and that gives it a market cap of 114 billion. Now, not that long ago, if we sort of rewind a bit, Bitcoin was almost 3 times that. So the market cap has, pretty much come down quite significantly. Pretty much it was a 70% correction there. This is what it kind of looks like, for Bitcoin miners. You can see some big farms here. These are some home setups, but essentially the miners are responsible for verifying all the transactions. There's a new block that's added every 10 minutes to the blockchain, and whoever solves that puzzle, etc., will get rewarded in Bitcoin. Okay, so why is Bitcoin so valuable? So, without a doubt, Bitcoin was something that caught the world's imagination last year. Like it was, I remember when we sort of had, Bitcoin mania in, October, November, December. You couldn't get it off any financial news, shows. Like they were just constantly talking about it. They was always showing the Bitcoin price because it kept breaking new all-time highs. It was quite amazing to watch, and you can see it got people talking about it. So this is what happens when you get new disruptive technology. There's going to be a whole lot of speculation, so people driving the price up because they think it's going to solve the world's problems, which it can in some respect for moving money around, but that's it. It doesn't do anything else apart from that. It's decentralized and limited to 21 million coins. To give you a bit of an example, Ripple, if they release all their coins, they will have 100 billion tokens. Okay, so these 21 million versus 100 billion. Bitcoin as an investment, so we've all seen the returns in 2017, and I'm going to show you some potential price targets for years ahead, and it's constantly being improved. So the constant improvements made to the Bitcoin blockchain with SegWit by Coinbase, implementing SegWit, sorry, we're seeing batch transactions now occurring, which wasn't happening when we were seeing the $30, $40 transaction fees that was getting charged. So for example, if I wanted to send you $10 worth of Bitcoin, it would cost me $30, $40. That didn't make sense, but now it's costing you very little, so it's way cheaper at the moment. So, and that's to do with most of the transactions not having to go through the Bitcoin miners anymore, so taking it off the blockchain, sending the the coins through a another protocol layer on top of Bitcoin, but still eventually being added to the Bitcoin at a later date. So it's pretty cool in that sense that all these technologies are helping speed up the transactions and the scalability of Bitcoin. And of course, a lot of people talk about the Lightning Network, so that's going to make it even more faster. And of course, rising acceptance. In the background, there's actually more and more merchants accepting Bitcoin, and I think most people would probably agree. And Australia actually does have one of the highest rate of just tap and go users. I think what sort of blew my mind was in China, right? In a lot of the cities, they use pretty much only cashless payment systems, and the biggest one being WeChat. WeChat's kind of like our WhatsApp, but on steroids. You can shop on it, you can send money on it, you can do pretty much everything on it. And even the older generation that are used to cash and all that sort of stuff, they're all using WeChat to pay for things. It's incredible. So you can already see we're starting to get used to the idea of just transacting electronically, and we'll probably see it more and more so as time goes on. Ethereum. So Ethereum is an open source public blockchain based on distributed computing platform operating operating system featuring smart contract scripting functionality. So essentially, Ethereum's like the world computer. You can program, lots of different things on it, and they're led by Vitalik and Buterin, who's a very, very well respected, I guess. evangelist, if you want to call him that, in the crypto space, and he's a very, very smart guy. Like, he knows kind of, the trends, and he's trying to make Ethereum, that platform that pretty much everyone will use in the future. And obviously, there's more and more blockchain protocols to compete with Ethereum, because Ethereum does have scaling issues, but like with anything, over time, when these things get resolved, it's just going to make Ethereum so much more valuable. So Ethereum's actually had a pretty decent pullback, and I'll share the chart later on and some of the analysis that I do. But right now, the market cap is currently at 39.2 billion. So I think it was almost 3.5 times this when Ethereum hit its peak at $1,400 US. Ripple is, another interesting cryptocurrency. It's been around for a while, like the company itself, because it specializes in cross-border payments. They decide, rather than sort of, list on the NASDAQ and just focus on that, we're going to list ourselves as a cryptocurrency and actually, have the Ripple token. And in November and December last year, Ripple had sort of been trading between that 18 cents to 25 cents. Then all of a sudden, there was just a huge demand for Ripple. I think especially when Bitcoin sort of hit its peak at 20,000, everyone was like, you know what, I'm not going to buy one Bitcoin for 20,000. What can I buy cheaper? Oh, wow, look at this coin called Ripple. Oh, wow, it's got so many different, banking relationships, and it's going to solve, cross-border payments issues. We could send funds across from, the US to London so quickly, because right now the running joke is, if you send $10,000 from the US to London, it's actually faster to actually get on, so we actually have physical $10,000 cash, get on a private jet, fly from the US to London, and that's a quicker way to sort of get 10,000 across, the sea there, compared to just sending it electronically. So, obviously that doesn't happen with Bitcoin. You can do it much quicker, and likewise with Ripple, but that's kind of, the issue that our current banking system has. So ways to buy cryptocurrency, so physical Bitcoin. So most, investors who want to hold for long term, you have to open up an account with an exchange. So you transfer your, your Aussie dollars and whatnot, so they call it fiat currency. Then you purchase your Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies that they offer, and you have to store your Bitcoin on a wallet, like a digital wallet. Okay, so the wallet has two things. It has your private key, which gives you access to that wallet, and then your public key address, which is kind of like your bank details, where you would give to someone if you wanted them to send you, Bitcoin or any other, cryptocurrencies there. So they're the things that sort of make up that. And of course, it sounds very complicated, and I have no doubt in the near future, someone's going to solve this issue and make it very, very easy to sort of store your cryptocurrencies. I think even some banks in South Korea, they're sort of implementing it within their banking system. So when you log on to your normal bank account, you can actually see what your crypto balance is. Also, Bitcoin as a derivative. So that's where easyMarkets sort of sits in this space, where, we offer Bitcoin as a CFD contract. So you pretty much get instant execution, easy to deposit, withdraw funds, and the ability to go long and short. So a lot of our clients did really well, when Bitcoin was falling, rather than sort of buy what a lot of other people were doing, because they're like, oh, it was 20,000, now it's 17, let's buy some. A lot of our clients who have been trading for a long time, like other markets, they notice, they go, no, you know what, something that's gone up 20 times, it's probably going to pull back at least halfway. So we saw that was the first major support level, from 20,000 down to 9,000. Then we quickly bounced back up to 16,000. Then we dropped again. So, a lot of our clients who were on the right side when they shorted, this is kind of the advantage that you have at the moment, with trading, with a CFD broker, because you have the ability to go both sides of the market. So this was that move that we saw. It was very, very scary at this time. Like, if you had been buying Bitcoin around this level all the way up here, then you sort of come all the way down here, you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Then back up here, everything's all good. We're probably going to hit break 20 and then head to 30, 40, 50,000, whatever. Then we saw this, so you can see this is a very common chart that's sort of shared along the crypto community, because everyone tries to map out to see where we are in this current climate. And you can see we sort of got down to that 5 level there, where a lot of people were angry and a lot of people were just like, geez, I got scammed, I shouldn't have brought Bitcoin. I knew it was going to be trouble, etc., etc. And these are the same people that same group of, not, I wouldn't say the exact same person, but I'm saying like the same type of people that bought Bitcoin when it went from $100 up to $1,200 back in 2013. Then all of a sudden Bitcoin went through a year and a half bear market. Then it went all the way back down to 150 again, so lost about 90% of its value. And then from there it started to gradually rise, and it held that 500-600 range for a while. So that's the accumulation phase. And then all of a sudden you start to see remnants of activity starting to pick up, because it went from all of a sudden 600 to 900 to 1200 back down to 800. And then it was 2017, all of a sudden we started the year almost at around 1,000, and we hit a high of just below 20,000 there. So this is kind of where I think we're here. I don't think we're in the depression phase anymore. Like, I think we've been battered enough. I think we're around this level. Like, we're hoping soon pain's going to end and we're going to start to see a rally again. So so everyone's waiting for this relief rally to sort of happen. Just to give a bit of context, this is a logarithmic chart of Bitcoin. You can see every time it's had a pretty big rise, a drop of 82%. Another big rise, drop of 87%. Another big rise, we got as low as 70%. So yes, Bitcoin may drop a bit more, may get down to maybe 80% pullback. I'm not sure. Like, I'm sort of monitoring as we go. But what I do know is, if we're in this growth phase and Bitcoin pulls back to these lower levels, and we're starting to hear news that larger investors are getting into Bitcoin and stuff like that, they're going to be no doubt buying Bitcoin, at low levels, and whilst everyone is just selling. And then all of a sudden, everyone who's sort of sold and said, I'm never looking at Bitcoin again, when I look back 6 months, a year later, like, holy moly, Bitcoin's doubled from where I sold. Geez, I should have held. Oh, you know what? It's going up. I'm going to buy it. Like, that's kind of what you're going to see during this phase as it starts to head up. Okay, so July 2010, if only we knew about Bitcoin back then. Some of us might have. I'm not too sure. I didn't personally. But, you could have bought one Bitcoin for 6 cents. The all-time high in December was 19,896. That's huge, right? So it's something that, if we do the percent on it, I don't even want to do it because it's there's going to be a lot of zeros after it. But you can see, it's one of those things that have made a lot of millionaires and people, and I feel sorry for a lot of people who did have a lot of these coins because they were just mining it for fun, but they lost the laptop or the hard drive got destroyed and they can never access it anymore. So that's why it's very important to sort of keep your keys secure. Now, most 2018 forecasts, I'm just showing the bullish ones because there weren't that many bearish ones sort of at the start of the year, but most people were calling anywhere between 25 to 50,000. We've got some longer term forecasts. So you got Ronnie Moaz. He says, Bitcoin one day will probably hit 400,000. I know it's not a really good one there, but Standpoint Research has 50,000 by 2027. Again, this was done in August, right? I think a lot of these guys have revised their forecast, because I know Thomas Lee from Fundstrat, which I'll bring up my browser in a second, I'll show you, he's predicting 91,000 by 2020. So, and he's probably one of the guys that most funds actually go to for research, so they're all positioning themselves for that. The other thing about Bitcoin too is, when people buy Bitcoin, they buy and hold it. They don't sell it. So when you sort of have that type of mentality, like this is like the, people who believe it's going to go a lot higher later on, not just sort of getting in for a, get rich quick type of thing. They actually want to hold for a few years. When people just keep buying and buying and buying, naturally, you're going to see the price go up. And then you're going to see all these people that sold early, they'll jump back in and they'll be the ones that will be fueling the rapid, price movement. But if we have a look, the daily growth rate of Bitcoin, 2015 15, 0.09%, 0.22%. This is the average daily movement 2016, 0.66% in 2017. Imagine having, investing in something that would go up by 0.66% a day. It's pretty outrageous, right? But if that same growth rate kept going by 2020, we'll see a price rate of about 250,000. So this is a chart that I actually always like to sort of refer back to. So this chart was, I saw this back in 2014, and you can see, it's using a logarithmic nonlinear regression chart. It's got a daily weighted price overlaid on this, trajectory projection. So you can see in 2017, yes, it was very close to that 10,700 by the end of the year. I think we were around about the 13,000 mark. Now, 2018, it's got 21,000 by 2018. Now, look at this. It does fluctuate. So we could see it go all the way up to 40,000, back down to 20 by the end of the year. 2019, 41, 2020, 74. So, this is pretty close to that, 91,000 that, Thomas Lee from Fundstrat was sort of talking about. And then finally, 2021, we're going to start to see, which is only 3 years away, right? Like we're sort of here at the, even like, May now, April now. So we're sort of, getting into start of, Q2, and this is not that far away. So I'm following this with great interest to see if it does pan out. It could go, all the way down, who knows, but it's something that we've seen follow quite nicely so far. Okay, so these are the general analysis techniques that you'll find, technical analysis techniques with Bitcoin, whether it's, analysts like myself or other technical analysts on, Twitter or TradingView, etc. They're going to use some form of these analysis. So, always sort of keep in mind about these Bitcoin projections. Like Thomas Lee watched a presentation of his, and he actually backs it up by a lot of research because he studies geographical demographic trends in the markets. And one of the things that when you study these trends, you can identify when certain groups get into their peak buying periods. Like for example, the baby boomers. When you sort of look at them as a group, they had a huge amount of money sort of flowing through them. If you could have, if you knew, when they were going to start buying property, then that was probably a good time to be a property investor. If you knew it was a good time when they sort of hit their peak earning, hence they're going to start investing money, it's probably a good time to be in the stock market, like those type of things. And his research points to, the millennials, which is the newer generation, which has grown up with, all your social media platforms, blockchain, Bitcoin, etc. They don't really trust the banks as much. And when they get to their peak, investing years, which is coming up very shortly, he is predicting that they're going to be they're going to be, majority of them will be investing in more in cryptocurrencies than they would in traditional stocks and all that sort of stuff, right? And that's when you're going to start to see, these huge moves in the market. So really interesting presentation. Like if you just Google him, and I think it was like a presentation I did just a couple of months ago, but I'll show you some of his stuff in a sec. So Bitcoin resources, so these are just a couple of the new sites that I look at and the live Bitcoin pricing. So we use the Bitstamp price on the easyMarkets trading platform. And trading with us, we pretty much provide fixed spreads, free guaranteed stop loss orders on any trade. So that's huge for cryptocurrencies, right? Because as you can see, it moves quite a fair bit. So you want to make sure that if you have a stop in, it's going to get out at that price. Ability to close trades over the weekend. So we offer weekend trading for Bitcoin. At the moment, we don't have it for Ripple or Ethereum yet, but at the moment you can close your open trades on Bitcoin, trade small sizes from quarter of a Bitcoin, and educational resources like what we do here. And I've run a few face-to-face presentations both here in the office and at the Hilton Hotel here in Sydney. So we've gotten really good feedback each time. But what I want to do now is let's jump on to the charts here. So let me just switch my screen for a sec. Okay, so here we've got my MT4 platform, and we've got Bitcoin here. So this is kind of one of the strategies that I use, which is looking at Bollinger Bands and the RSI. So I've got the ATR down here. I was just looking at actual daily average true range, which, at the moment, day to day, it's incredible how, even though, Bitcoin is volatile, you can see this level here is what we saw back in October. So if it keeps dropping, it's going to get down to these levels here, and then we might see it finally start to turn up again. So I'm watching this closely. Actually got this trend line sort of running here just to see if we start to peak up again, because if we do start to break up, it's telling me that there's more momentum coming in. So usually what you find is during downward markets, there's a lack of interest in that particular instrument or commodity or asset class. You're going to see the ATR really drop down. But as interest starts to increase, and if we have a look here, if we were sort of monitoring it each time, we go, oh, okay, you know what, it's starting to break up here. Means the daily range is moving up. Let's move this up a little bit. Whoop, it's breaking here. And if you can see it constantly break like that, then that means we're kind of getting into that euphoric type price action there. So these are just some simple tools that you can access on most trading platforms, looking at the ATR and seeing the volatility and just seeing where we are at the moment. So we're currently at this lower end, and I'm waiting for a break of this to potentially signal a new move up on Bitcoin. The other thing that I look at is just trading this, as a volatility based system. So looking at entry signals. So here was a really good one that I liked. We saw a really quick move down. This is the lower end of the trading range. So I waited for the RSI to cross above, got in long around here, stops below. If you had got in here, you want to put your stops, down here somewhere, and then either get out here. So that's a very short. I probably would have waited for this, and then boom, you had that big move up. Okay, so you can ride these moves, and this is one of my Bollinger and RSI strategies where I'm using every time price goes outside of these Bollinger bands, 95% of the time the price should be inside that. So it should only stay out here 5% of the time, and then majority of the time it should stay within that. And I'm using the RSI as a filter, so yes, it's going to be oversold, but as soon as it clicks above, it's giving me confirmation that we're entered back in, then we go long. Okay, so it's like an elastic band. It sort of stretches and then it sort of comes back in. So these are some of the things that I look at. Now, I just want to quickly show you the Dow. So I mentioned the Dow Jones, and early on I had a look at potentially where we might be headed. Let me just clean this up. Okay, so here we go. So let me take this out as well. So I think I removed one of the fibs that I want to keep. Okay, so here we have the Dow Jones. Okay, so I had this move. This was typical Fibonacci analysis, you take the Fibonacci extension of the previous move once the low is confirmed. So I had this move from down here all the way down here, this projected up here, which was the 261, no, the 423.6. So I remember saying that. I go, look, you know what? I remember telling someone, I go, look, the Dow could get to this level, sorry, here, and then up there. Let me just double check. Oh no, sorry, this is the 26. Okay, so when I had this, I was saying the Dow could get up to this level, so we kind of touched it there, but eventually probably up here, 261.8. And then I just did another Fibonacci extension. So this is a direct range expansion from this low to that high. And then we've got this level up here as well. So you can see, look at where the Dow Jones hit. So we've had pretty much almost a 10-year run, just going up, 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 boom, so this level that I sort of highlighted, and then we come down. Right, and now we've sort of hit these levels. I managed to sort of buy in long a few times. This is obviously on a demo account, and then yeah, just holding just to see if we start to break this level up here. But this is kind of the stuff that I'll look at too. For Bitcoin, if I wanted to sort of do the same thing with Bitcoin, let me just move my browser across here. Okay, so I'll do that in a sec, but I just want to quickly show you. So with Bitcoin, this is kind of what I'm following at the moment. Okay, so if I click on this, accumulation Wyckoff event. So this is, Richard Wyckoff. He was a stock operator back in the, mid 1900s. One of the things that he noticed with a lot of the large stock operators was how they accumulated shares and how they sort of distributed it. So, for example, if a particular large trade, let's just call them like an institutional investor, wanted a particular stock, they would just accumulate this stock over and over and over and over and over and over using this process. And all these little tests are trying to fake out retail traders just to go, oh, we're going to break lower, we're going to sell. These guys pick it up. Oh, we're definitely going to break lower. Short sellers get caught here. We call them, a bear trap. They buy, and then boom, we start to break out and we go through a markup phase. So this cycle happens over and over and over. So accumulation, markup, overbought, markdown. Okay, so distribution area. That's kind of what we see. And Wyckoff kind of tells us, the type of patterns that we might have. So with Bitcoin, I'm currently following this at the moment. So this is my preliminary support, selling climax, automatic reaction up here, and then we start to see the test in phase B. So, this is kind of the range. And keep in mind, see, this is Feb, right? Feb during this period. Feb had about 1 billion OTC Bitcoin transactions, meaning that, a lot of investors bought Bitcoin in this period. And look where the low was down here. So this is sort of giving me the range of a large accumulation range. So if we sort of look at it, if we start to accumulate here and we go on for maybe through till May, etc., so we might come up again, back down. We might even get a test below here before shooting back up. But this is such a big accumulation zone. So, this definitely does give me more confidence that, we will probably see higher prices. Now, I'll just leave that there because it's something that I do use for my presentations. But what I want to just quickly do is project up. So I'm just taking, I'll take it just to about there. So I'm doing a Fibonacci extension now, okay? And so we're getting one level here. So the 127.2 extension comes in around the 25,000 mark, which is a nice round number. But if we have a look up here, the 161, 32,000, okay? This is actually the number that I'm looking for, 51,000. So I gave, when I did my first presentation this year, I was giving a price target of around, 45,000. I just want to be a little bit more conservative, this might take a few years to hit. But this is kind of, what I'm looking at. If this low holds here, we could even get as low as here, 5,000. But then once it starts to move and it breaks this high, then these are the levels that we'll start to see get taken out. And if you sort of compare it to, if we sort of compare it to what we saw on the Dow Jones, yes, it seems ridiculous, at the time to project such a high value, but then look at all the stuff that happened in between. We had so many QE programs, we had explosion in technology stocks, it was so many things happen, advancements in technology and stuff, and then we just saw these stock prices just, really run up big time. Okay, so this is currently what I see in Wyckoff's sort of theory here, and I just want to quickly show you just another. Okay, so this is Disney. Let me just bring it up. Okay, so I actually did have like a Wyckoff schematic, like accumulation markup, and then we're currently in a distribution phase. But this is kind of the same thing that you see, accumulation, and the longer the accumulation goes for, the bigger this markup phase. Once it gets up here, you know, all the people that put down here, they put huge amounts of stock, and it's worth way more than it is now. They'll be looking to distribute it, you know, up here. So these are all the people who are looking to buy it. You know, I would just draw, you know, my trading range here. So if it doesn't break above this, we know that this is the upper trading range, and once it breaks below here, chances are it's probably going to come down and reaccumulate down here somewhere before repeating the cycle. Okay, so just always, you know, try and keep an eye out for this. And this is, again, if you just Google Wyckoff, this is stock charts will be one of the first links you see. You can read up more about it here. Okay, let's bring up Ethereum. So with Ethereum, I just want to show you another form of analysis that I use. It's called fractal analysis, and what it does is you're looking for repeating, you know, movements in the markets that's happened in the past that sort of can give you a bit of an idea of what it may do in the future. And you can see, what I've got here. You know, blue square, low, peach, low, green square, and then you can see a very long move here, purple square, green square. Okay, just try and remember that pattern, and then you can see similar blue square, bang, this box up here, low, green square, then you see the longer low down here, run up to the purple square, green, and then we've got that move there. So this move is approximately 88% from memory. So about 88%. Okay, so how I projected this price target was pretty much just grabbing it from this low, bring it up around about that 88%. Yeah, right. Okay, so yeah, round about there. So that's currently the projection. So this move, once it breaks this downtrend line, expect it to sort of hit this, go sideways for a little bit, and then what we saw was down, and then we saw a move to test this again. Once it tests this, we could see it go down sideways, but then we could see a repeat of this structure play out again, but on a larger scale. So whether or not, you know, this happens, you know, it may not, but I'll just show you another, you know, a lot of people had this as well. So here's Ethereum. So if you're familiar with Elliott wave analysis, then you can pretty much click on, that's one, that's your wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. So, you know, there's a 5-wave count there, and this is a valid count because 4 never breaks 2, 3 was bigger than 1, and 5 was your exuberant, you know, really, really big wave, you know. So it's not always the case, you know, sometimes you can have longer wave 3s than 5s, but in this case, it was. Right, so you've got that there. Okay, so that's one form of analysis. The other thing that we can look at too is previous support and resistance. So, you know, if we look here, look at where this low found support, resistance, breaks it, becomes resistance there, and then you can see, so it becomes support there, and it becomes support here again. So this level is definitely a very important level. Okay, if I'm just doing a Fibonacci retracement too, you know, when I do my intraday trading, I buy on this level, you know, any day of the week if I see that. If I see such a deep pullback and something fundamentally has been so oversold and it's bouncing up, we've got the same thing here as well, then, you know, that would be buy, put your stop loss down around here, somewhere where where you think it won't get hit, and then we'll start to see the move up again. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that I want to show you today. So some other things. So this is the article that I mentioned. So this Fundstrat's Thomas Lee believes Bitcoin will hit 91,000 in 2020. So that's very similar to the price target on that chart that I had as well. The other thing too is, let me see, is this the chart that I want? Okay, cool. So here is, so this is, you can go to multicoincharts.com if you want to sort of put multiple trading view charts on the same page, but this is kind of what I keep an eye on here. So I'm looking at Bitfinex longs. So these are the number of long orders on their book. This is the number of shorts. You can see with the shorts, it's pretty crazy. This highlighted yellow area is some Fibonacci extensions that I have. I'll just take that off, but I want to just quickly bring up a daily chart, and you can see, look at where this is at. This is, so when we hit the top, this was the number of shorts. Look at that. Look at it now. So if you think the opposite, now shorts at an all-time high by long mark, Bitcoin's at a pretty low price. Chances are when these shorts start to unwind, because it's a very overcrowded trade at the moment, when they unwind, it's going to propel this price up, very, very high. Because Bitcoin does not have that much liquidity, so not yet anyway. So you can see it's continuously climbing. Look at that. That is, quite incredible that it just keeps going up and up and up. So there's a lot of people who are very bearish at the moment, and they're constantly just shorting. That's why you can see a bit of a lid here on Bitcoin. The other thing too is, we saw a bit of a dump yesterday as well, and some of the tools that you can have a look at. So this is OBV, on balance volume. So what you can look for is potential support and resistance levels with OBV. So what I saw was, a high here. So I just drew a line because I saw a bit of support here, then it breaks through, then it came back up. So I knew this level here was quite important. And then you could see, again, prices got here, didn't go much higher. So I knew this top here, chances are, we're probably going to go down once we broke the supporting trend line. And eventually we did. Dropped. All of a sudden, this started to look bullish to me because we've got now a bit of a bullish divergence from this low to that high. We're starting to move up again. But again, look at exactly where it sort of topped out, found resistance at this line. Bitcoin hit that level, dropped down again. Okay, so this is the RSI. Just on a hourly basis, you got one high, lower high, lower high, high, and then this little high here, that's your fake out candle. That's the one that draws in everyone. And it's also one that all these guys who are shorting here, they're putting their stops just above here. This candle went whooshka, thank you, took out all those stops. All those stops then allowed bigger players to short the market because they're buy stops here, right? So if you're shorting, when your stop loss goes off, it's a buy order. So all these guys caught the other side of that, and then boom, we saw a big move to the downside. Bitcoin's definitely looking a lot better now. Like you can see all these long tails, that's telling you there's demand there. So it's just a matter of time before that breaks and we start to head higher. So this was, we're seeing a lot of fake outs at the moment. We're seeing a lot of people short. We're seeing, if we go back to this chart, I'm seeing that. Oh, sorry, wrong one. BTC USD. I'll go to Coinbase. We're at this lower end of the trading range, so once this breaks out, we're going to see a good move eventuate. We've sort of broken above it already. We've come back. We've found support here. I'll drill down to a 4-hourly chart. I'll show that. We found support here. Now we're starting to move up. I would not be shorting this. I would short it if it breaks below here and it goes lower. Yeah, okay, I might short that. Or short here with a tight stop. Would have got stopped out. But if it does the flip, so it's changing polarity, this has probably sucked in enough shorters, and we can see it. We can see it here. This is still going higher. That once it starts breaking up here, because this is, if I was going to take out some bears, I know there's going to be stops here, so I'll be targeting that area. We'll target all those stops there. The next level, this is going to be a huge level. If this gets taken out, 7.5, there's going to be so many stops here that will probably push it up into this area here. So this will be a big liquidity zone. So if we get to 8,000, nice round number, we'll probably see a bit of a pullback. But if it's sustained, we could see a nice move up to this level here. So this is kind of, if you're long, you start to take your profits up around this range, because you don't know where it will fail, because it's sort of halfway now in this range. So you want to take some off here, want to take some off definitely up around here and see what happens, because chances are everyone's going to be thinking the same. If we get to here, and it's only going to be the second test, we're probably going to come down. And look at Wyckoff's method. We're here, so we're going to come up here. Chances are we're going to come down, and we're going to form a spring. So this is where I think we might see, a test of potentially that lower low, test of this SC level. So I wouldn't mind if we actually do see that, because they'll give me more confidence that we're. So we'll go there, go here, take that out, we spring a bit, test, and then we start to move up. So that's potentially the phase that I'm following at the moment. So run up to around here, down, and then move up. So again, run up, move down, try and take out any last remaining bulls, and then we start to move up. And basically what this means is this is a test to see if there's anyone else willing to short. They'll bust them, start heading up. Last point of support, buy up. So BU is buy up. SOS means sign of strength. Last point of support, and then we start to get the markup phase, and that's when we start entering here. This is going to be the fun part. If you're long, great. And according to Wyckoff's theory, this is the area that you start buying in. You don't worry about this area. This area just helps us identify where we are in the cycle. But phase C and D is the area that we are looking to sort of go long at. Okay, so I know I covered a lot of information today. I have recorded this as well, so if you do want it, please send me an email. I'll be happy to send it across. If there are any questions, please let me know. I just want to show you just one last thing. So we don't just offer, FX. Obviously, we would do, cryptocurrencies. We do FX and other markets as well. So we actually have daily trading ideas that's published on our website now that you can have a look at. So, for example, if we have a look at the US dollar index, is actually one that I've been following quite closely. But you can see these are the trade ideas that we're actually putting up at the moment. Okay, so you can also, if you want, email me. I'll send you this link. You can actually get the latest ideas here as well. And again, if I bring up the, let's have a look at, so you can see here, the thing that I like about this is you can hit play and then it'll actually tell you what the market's done. So this one didn't work out so well. So we would have got in here, we would have got stopped out at that level. Okay, if we have a look at this one. So we're looking for a bounce here, stop loss at second support, take profit there. So this one, sort of come back down. So it kind of went up in the money, it's back down to our entry. So if you haven't entered yet, this is a level where you can potentially get in on the dollar index. And this is kind of the take profit level that we have there. Let's have a quick look at one more. So AUD. And you can see, so it's come up, it's come back, and it's hit our entry. So we're in long now. So that's a level that we'll be targeting. Stop loss just below here. Okay, so thank you everyone for your time. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Again, like I said, this webinar is recorded, so I'm happy to send it out to anyone who wants the notes. Thank you and have a great evening. Take care. Bye.